Thank you all for coming today. I want to welcome you and take you through ProTack's hosted collaboration service based on Zimbra. We talk to SMBs, small to medium businesses all the time, and one thing we commonly ask them is, do you need more than just email? And the answer is almost always yes, but the solutions for this are often unknown or undesirably high in cost. Ultimately, it takes us back to Microsoft Exchange. Microsoft Exchange is one of the only well-known collaboration suites out there. You've got Lotus Notes, you've got GroupWise, but that's even further out of reach for most clients. Zimbra can do everything that Exchange can do while making it easier on the administrators to administer their users. The typical scenario looks like this. You have an average SMB employee. One thing that frustrates them on a daily basis is that they're managing one workstation, a home desktop or a laptop, more and more often a Mac, and one mobile device. A lot of us like the iPhone, some of us BlackBerry users, but we all have one. You've got your contacts and calendar and Outlook, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're on your laptop. Same thing, you've got them on your laptop, and you don't necessarily have those on your mobile phone. So the problem is that we have all this disconnected information, email, calendar, contacts, and tasks spread across all of these devices we manage on a daily basis. This is very unmanageable, and if it's this unmanageable for you managing these three different sources of information, you can just imagine what it does when you and a fellow employee or a customer or a vendor try to communicate back and forth, schedule a call. It's very cumbersome when they probably have the same problem more often than not. So you also have a disconnect between the individuals. So the solution is to use business collaboration. What is business collaboration? It's a way to share your resources, whether it's contacts, calendar, tasks, or folders. They're resources. Business collaboration also needs to be cross-platform compatible. People nowadays are using Firefox and Internet Explorer. More and more people are recognizing Safari that don't even use Mac. That's now available on Windows. So people are using different browsers and they want it to look and function the same. Some people like Outlook for their clients. Some people like Entourage. As users, we like these programs for different reasons. So we really need something that works the same on all of them. We find more and more people nowadays are using Macs for business purposes. It's not just a web developer platform. We also find that Dell is selling Linux on the desktop. So more and more people are considering Linux for their business purposes. And lastly, with collaboration, we need to sync our data over the air. I can't emphasize how important that is, so that as we're more and more mobile, our data stays in sync with our workstation, our home desktop, and mobile device. So as a high-level overview of what we do support, Zimbra, which we use for offering this service, supports iPhone, BlackBerry, other mobile devices, Mappy. This is very important to note because your Outlook 2003 and 2007 users assume that because it's Outlook, they have to connect it to Exchange in order to sync email, contacts, and calendar. And that's not the case. There's several platforms out there now doing this, but some of them don't support Mappy, which is Microsoft's protocol to synchronize this data. Zimbra uses Mappy, and it makes it very consistent for the data Outlook needs to read back and forth to the server. Zimbra also fully supports IMAP, POP, iCal, and other standards-based protocols that work in Thunderbird, Mac Mail, Windows Mail, if those are the clients you want to use. So I want to talk real quick about Apple Desktop. There's not really been many alternatives for Mac users. I personally love my PowerBook G4. And one thing I love about Zimbra is I can connect my Mac to the platform and have the same contacts, calendar, and email like I would expect on a Windows platform with Outlook. So another great thing about connecting it to a Mac, you're actually syncing with the native databases. This is very important for Mac users because we like things integrated. So full support for Mac users. You also have full support for Windows Mobile 5, Palm, Symbian, any ActiveSync device for that matter. And you have the web client. You have the basic HTML client, which is great if you're on dial-up or a legacy low bandwidth connection. But for the most part, everybody has broadband nowadays. So people prefer the Ajax client. this provides very, very rich desktop client style functionality right in the browser. So we'll talk about that in detail. But on to Zimbra Desktop. Zimbra Desktop is revolutionary. All these functionalities that you now have that are making web-based calls using the Ajax client, highlighting over an address and getting a map instead of having to copy, paste, and pull that up in a browser. Now Zimbra has produced Zimbra Desktop. So they've taken web-based functionality you would normally expect to need a browser to do, and they've made a desktop application out of it. This prevents you from needing Apple Desktop or Outlook 2003 or 2007. So you've got the same functionality with a client right there on your machine, whether it's a Mac, Linux, or Microsoft Windows. So when we mention Zimbra by name, so many people ask, what's Zimbra? Well, there's a success range across a range of customer segments that really gives Zimbra a lot of credibility. You've got Harvard Custom Manufacturing, Raytheon, Mozilla, Century 21, Dig, MySQL. I'm sure you already recognize a lot of these companies. In the educational and government sectors, Georgia Tech, Ohio State, Eastern Illinois University, and many more that aren't even on this list. Large enterprises, we recognize H&R Block, SRI International, Sunterra. Service providers, you have Tata. They manage Lexmark's infrastructure. You have Embark, which is used to be Sprint out of North Carolina. You also have Comcast. Comcast is one of Zimbra's largest customers. So you pretty much can see that Zimbra is a very credible alternative to Exchange. Whether you're tired of managing on-site Exchange or need a collaboration solution, consider our hosted services for more value and lower costs.